A while back, I did an overview video of my setup for screen recordings and meetings. And at the time, all it was a Sterling Audio ST55. And it was going into this Joe Meek channel strip. And I was monitoring out of some little $30 unit from Amazon. And it was kind of a strange setup. It was going in through the Apogee 1, which is still a great little unit. But this is what I have now. I have an EV RE20 going into a 528E, Symmetrix 528E voice processor. And then that goes into a Motu Audio Express. So this is definitely some legacy equipment all the way around. The only thing that's not legacy is this microphone because it was made in the last couple of years. But the mic itself could be considered a legacy microphone. It's been around since 1968. They just made a black version fairly recently, so I bought one. I would have bought the fawn beige as well if they hadn't come out with this. I just wanted the microphone so bad I would have done that, but this put me over the edge. Once they came out in black, I said I've got to get one because that other color is just kind of like the old. It's akin to the feeling you get when you see one of those old beige computers from back in the 80s and 90s when that was the only color you could get a computer in. And it kind of just looks old, you know? And now that they've come out with the black version, that makes it look a lot better and a lot less like, what is that? So it kind of, and if I have a darker shirt, it kind of disappears into the shirt. Now, before I got this microphone, I actually picked up this Audio Technica AT2035, and it's got this little $10 pop filter on it that I really like. It works super well. So I'd recommend one of these to anyone who has a condenser mic and wants a lower profile pop filter instead of one of those giant circles. So this is amazing. And I ran this through the Joe Meek unit as well. And then I had a gate. I had a standalone gate, which was an Alesis micro gate. I don't have it in front of me right now. I'm going to sell it, which is a surprise to me. I got a really good deal on it. And for some reason, those things are going for a lot more than I paid. Maybe the modular synth world has something to do with that. But this is the setup right now. And it's really good. I'm super happy with it. I can get a good signal going in and don't have to touch it at all. It's got the 3-band parametric. The Joe Meek only has the parametric, the sweep, right, and mids, which was nice. You know, there are times when I like this better. Like it just says high, low, and then mid is a sweep. But in this case, you've got to set the frequency and the bandwidth for each one. So I tweak it all the time. I can't help myself. But the thing that I really like about this unit is the downward expander and the compressor. The downward expander does the job of a gate. It's not a gate. It's very similar though. Same concept too. It's filtering out the quiet sounds so you only get the voice going through. And it's super smooth. With the gate that I had, it was kind of hard. You could hear the gate opening and closing. In this case, you really can't. And that is huge for me. And that's the reason why and that brings me to the reason why I have this dynamic microphone. I'm in this room. It's an okay room. It's, I've got some treatment around the front, but this is a hard surface. This is a hard surface. It's glass. And I work right next to my wife who sits right out there. And I can hear her pretty well through the door. Even though we have a door, you can still hear things. And this is a less sensitive mic than the condenser is. The condenser can pick up every word she's saying. And that's why I got the gate to filter that out. But the RE20 does it even better. And then put this on top of it, the Symmetrix. And now we've got a really, really nice signal going in. And I don't have to do anything to it. I sound good. When I'm making a video, a screen recording for some kind of tutorial, this is what it will sound like. And I'm done with it. So this unit can drive the RE20 just fine. I'm kind of amping up the preamp stage a bit. It's fine though. You know, what are you going to do? This is a pretty standard FM broadcast radio station signal chain, the RE20 into the 520-AD, at least back in the day. Like, I don't know with the advances in digital stuff, if they're still using these analog pieces of gear or not. But if they are, that's what you're going to see is this setup right here and what you hear. So this is how I used to do it back at the radio station. I would talk across it. I would kind of get a little bit close, and I'm peaking right now on the interface. So when I get close, obviously the signal goes up, and I used to be like KNTU, McKinney, Denton, Dallas, Fort Worth. You know, that was David Hazeltine on the piano, whatever jazz track I was playing. And but these days I'm kind of further away sometimes, and I'll be over here, and it won't be like super close to the mic, so I can turn that gain up a little bit, and I think it sounds good. On top of just the greatness of this microphone and the properties it has of background rejection and all that, it was a nostalgia thing. I just wanted to talk into an RE20 again through a 520-AD. I did have it going through the Joe Meek, and it was great. I mean, this thing is awesome. I like this thing. I'll never use this optical compressor. I'd be happy if it didn't have it, but I could see it coming in handy for certain things, instruments. I went over it in a different video, but it's got a scratchy pot too, so I'm not using it right now. It's just sitting here so it looks cool. But I'll use it every so often if I want to have a different input. But yeah, that's what we've got. And the Audio Express, I guess we can talk about that too. This is a pretty old thing. I think this came out in like 2009, and it still works just fine. It's got 2 combo jacks in the back, the XLR and the 1/4 inch that sticks in the center. And then it's got 2 line-in 1/4 inch inputs as well. So it's a 4 input, but then it's got digital signal inputs too. So they count it as 2 more, the SPDIF, people say sometimes. So it's a 6x6. It's got a bunch of outs. I don't use any of them right now. I'm just on the headphones. But I can just hit this and it mutes it. If I tap, if I push in on each of these knobs, that'll mute the channel, and I can turn the channel up and down in my ears, and turn the overall headphone volume up and down right here. I can do everything I need. I can punch up a different mix and change the levels there. I can turn Phantom on and off, all from the front of the unit, and all the connections are in the back. That was one of the most important things about the interface that I got, and why I have this really old interface. So it's everything is in the back, right? As you can see, there's no wires here. There's a rat's nest down behind the computer that I will not show, but everything is back there. And if I had some interface where it plugged in the front, that would just be weird. It would kind of get in my way. I've got this keyboard right here, so when I could have an XLR sticking out. Back in the first video I made, I was like, I want to be as small as possible, small footprint. So I have this, and I have the Apogee 1, which I still have sitting back over here. I don't know. It's just there. It's still good. I really like it, but the monitoring situation bothered me. I had that separate unit, so this I can monitor straight out of it, and as you would, and I can control the inputs independently in the ears, and I can mute it if I need to. It's muted right now, so I can't hear myself. But then, when it's muted and when it's not, with those flashing lights, like it's muted, and now it's not muted because it's solid. So yeah, it's great. And I don't know what else exists like this these days. You can find interfaces that have the rear connections like that, but not all the options that this thing has. The one downfall of it, though, is that I have to have Zoom set to mono audio, which is fine, but the issue is that for some reason with the Mac, I can't select the inputs individually. They're always a stereo pair. And on top of that, another thing that sucked was that I bought the thing because it has line inputs, right? So I can just take the signal out of the processor, line in right into the unit, and not hit the preamp. With this, you can see it's going in channel 1 and channel 2 are the combo jacks, and those do hit the preamp. I think. I don't know if the XLR does, and maybe the 1/4 inch doesn't. I have no idea, because when I'm saying that, maybe it doesn't, because within the software that the Motu has, you can change the gain and then if you plug in a 1/4 inch, the gain changes to digital trim. You've got 22 dB of digital trim you can do, and I think like 60 something of gain if you're using the preamp. So when I put that 1/4 inch in the combo jack, I don't get gain anymore. I get that digital trim. So that makes me think maybe it's not hitting the preamp. But either way, even if it is, I'm not worried about it, because these preamps sound good and they're transparent. So whatever, if it's hitting the preamp, it's hitting a good preamp that doesn't color the sound. And the Symmetrix doesn't color the sound really. It's just run of the mill, nothing special. It's not trying to sound like a Neve or anything. And I don't think all that matters a whole lot. I used to want to buy a really nice preamp until I actually started recording, and I'm like, I bumped my really cheap mic arm. I'm like, it's fine, whatever. So this is the setup. This is what I sound like. This is going to come straight from the Zoom recording, because it's going to sound pretty good. And yeah, I'm not doing a whole lot, as you can see. I've got the lows like at 0, so I'm not cutting anything. I can bring my lows up some if I want, get that real boomy sound out of there. But I won't do that. Sometimes I even roll it back. I don't know. And I'm boosting the highs a touch, and the mids too. I do a cut. I just took the EQ out, and you can hear how it's still pretty good, right? I mean, the RE20 is a good mic, but it has this kind of closed off sound to it for me, depending on the headphones I have, depending on where I'm listening to it. So I just like to open it up a little bit and do a little dip in the mids, and then give it a slight boost up there. And I've got the de-esser going too, and I think that really helps a lot for those SE sounds. And I'm always messing with it, changing away the threshold and the rate and the frequency and all that stuff. But I think it's necessary for sure. It makes you sound a lot better, and you can have the highs like that. You can get that detail, but then when you hit that S, it squashes it and makes it not so annoying to hear. But yeah, that's my setup, and that's what we're doing. Everything was cheap too. I got a deal on this. Let me tell you about that. I got this mic for like 160 or something. It was under 200. It may have been approaching 200 after taxes and shipping, but it was under 200. And that's kind of unheard of. And it was new. It had the box. There's nothing wrong with it, but it didn't work. And it came with, here's the big thing. It came with that big suspension mount, the big mount that you see on the radio station announcers. And I didn't want that. So I sold it for like $60. And so that brought the cost back down. But then when I got it, I opened it up. Like, sure enough, yeah, it didn't have any audio coming out of it. That was why it was so cheap. They're like, it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, it looks new. What are they doing wrong here? Or it's something simple. So I got the mic and I plugged it in right away, made sure everything was correct, good cables, all that stuff. No audio. Okay, no big deal. First thing you do, remove the XLR connector, pull it out of there. One wire was broken off. All I had to do was heat up the soldering iron and go, doot. And then it worked. Nothing wrong with it. Sounded great. It worked for about 2 days. And then it stopped working right in the middle of talking. I was just in a meeting and it just cut out. That was it. Actively using it and then had audio, then it didn't. Nothing changed. So I'm like, oh no, what have I done? Now I got this dead mic. I already fixed it. So I thought maybe the solder was bad. It was a cold solder or something. So I redid everything like 3 times and ran through everything and looked at it all and all that. And it was fine. And put the meter on everything. It was all good. There's nothing wrong that I could find. And so the next step was that I bypassed, there's a board in here. I bypassed the whole thing. It's this round little board. It's got a transformer on it and some other stuff. So I ran the capsule directly to an XLR cable, plugged it in, and I got a signal. So the capsule's good. And I'm like, okay, something on that little board inside is not good, obviously. But what is it? I don't have the means to test everything. So I contacted EV and I told them that I would like a replacement board like this. I figured it might be the transformer. And I'm like, can I buy the transformer? And they're like, no, you can buy the board though. They're like, we don't normally sell this, but we'll sell it to you. So I don't know why they did that or even told me that. But they sold me the thing. It was like $78. I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. I'm still saving money, even because I got the whole thing with the shock mount for under 200, sold the shock mount, and now I'm back up a little bit, but whatever. It's not 450, nowhere near. So they sold me that. I solder everything back in and it's fine. So I think the transformer just went bad suddenly as I was using the microphone. Not cool, but at least it was easy to fix and it still, net me an RE20 at a deal. Like I'm sure, I think I'm like under 220. I don't know. I think that was the total price, something like that, 225 for a basically new mic. It's got the box and the soft case and all that. So I'm pretty happy. And that's what I sound like. And that's what I'm doing. And that's my setup in front of my desk or on my desk in front of my face that I use every day.